Sometimes in fantasy football, there are players you are just so high on, you keep drafting them over and over again. These are 6 of those wide receivers for me. Hey, before I get to those players, gotta remind you, flockfantasy.com/endgame is the place to be this fantasy season. Come play redraft with us, win cash prizes, not to mention get access to our draft guide, our rankings, draft rankings, in-season rankings, bonus articles, bonus videos, things you can only get at flockfantasy.com/endgame, not to mention some cool endgame swag. flockfantasy.com/endgame, 30% off. Check it out now. I feel like I haven't talked about CeeDee Lamb in a while, and I don't know, maybe because I was talking about him so much in the offseason, I felt like I needed to talk about other guys, but I'm back talking about CeeDee Lamb because somehow he seems to be falling in drafts. This is a guy who early in the offseason was going as like a mid-first rounder. Now he's going more towards the end of the first round as wide receiver 7, and I don't get it at all. This guy was an absolute stud last year, a true league winner, dominated the fantasy playoffs, was a wide receiver 4 from week 7 on when Dak Prescott was healthy, behind only Jefferson, Adams, and Tyreek Hill. And there's no reason to see that changing this year. I mean, yeah, they brought in Brandon Cooks, but are we worried about Brandon Cooks taking a significant target share? No. They have Michael Gallup. He's not going to take a significant target share. CeeDee Lamb is going to be an absolute target monster, and in this Mike McCarthy West Coast offense, it's going to be so good for CeeDee Lamb. This guy is an elite route runner, an elite wide receiver. He can do everything, but now he's going to have a chance to have massive yards after catch, which was an area he struggled in last year, pretty much the only area he struggled in. This system is based on timing, getting the receivers the ball in space, accurate passes, quick passes. This is going to be so good for CeeDee Lamb. I still really feel outside of guys like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, and Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb has the best chances finishing as the top scoring wide receiver in 2023. Draft him every time you can, just like I do. All right, now for a guy I've been talking about a bit more lately, that is Amari Cooper. I feel like he's badly mispriced in relation to what this guy can do. Last year playing with Jacoby Brissett and a terrible Deshaun Watson, he still got you 6 top 12 wide receiver games, and he got you 8 top 24 wide receiver games, which that's pretty good. And I know the knock on Amari Cooper is he's volatile and he'll have those huge weeks where he wins you the week, and he'll have those weeks where he doesn't do a whole lot. Well, that's what you get with wide receivers. Wide receivers isn't the safe, warm, fuzzy position. They're all very volatile. Even Justin Jefferson had some terrible games last year. Look what he did in the championship week. It's the nature of the position. But Amari Cooper gives you massive week-winning upside. And with Deshaun Watson this year, I've talked about it many times, a full offseason without worrying about the off-the-field stuff, without the suspension, a full offseason with this staff, with this playbook, with these receivers, Deshaun Watson is going to be significantly better. They're going to throw the ball more, and Amari Cooper is head and shoulders better than every receiver on this offense. So Amari Cooper will have more boom weeks, and I think he'll also have a higher weekly floor for those of you who are worried about the volatility, which you shouldn't be. So Amari Cooper, to me, an absolute must draft. He should be priced more around like T. Higgins and Devonta Smith, in my opinion, but he's not. He's going after guys like DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel a lot of times. I think that's crazy. I'm smashing Amari Cooper every time in the 3rd round. I haven't talked about DJ Moore in a while either, but I still really like DJ Moore this year. We've heard about the connection he and Justin Fields has. Obviously, Justin Fields saying he wants to be the first 4,000-yard passer in Bears history. Will he do it? I don't know. But it doesn't matter because DJ Moore is going to have a massive target share in this offense. And I promise you, Justin Fields is going to throw for more than 2,200 yards this year. He's going to get to at least 3,000, maybe even 3,500. And DJ Moore is going to have a vast majority of those yards because who is behind him? I mean, Darnell Mooney, who I kind of like. Chase Claypool, who I don't like at all. Cole Kmet, Velus Jones, I don't even know. There's nobody behind him. DJ Moore, head and shoulders, the best wide receiver on this Bears team. Justin Fields finally going to be able to throw the ball more because he actually has a real wide receiver in DJ Moore. And DJ Moore currently not even being drafted as a top 24 wide receiver, being drafted as a wide receiver 26, meaning he could potentially be your wide receiver 3. For me, if DJ Moore is my wide receiver 3, I'm going to love that because he's going to have some massive weeks. This is another guy who was totally misused in Carolina. They tried to make him a true X receiver. That's not his role. Let this guy be a flanker, move him all over the field. I think the Bears do that. I think DJ Moore has a great year, potentially the best year of his entire career this year, and he's going at a great value at wide receiver 26. And with the Jaguars trading for Calvin Ridley last year and him kind of getting some hype in OTAs, Christian Kirk has kind of been forgotten, but not by me. I'm still drafting this guy all the time. Another guy going outside the top 24 wide receivers, typically wide receiver 27, and another guy that gives you massive boom potential. And I know last year he was very volatile, but I already talked about it with Amari Cooper. That's the nature of the position. You've got to deal with it. The fact is he can give you those massive weeks that help you win your matchup, and that is worth so much more than those down weeks. This offense going into year 2 with Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence made the leap last year. I expect Trevor Lawrence to make another leap this year. 4,500 yards, 30-plus touchdowns, well within reach for Trevor Lawrence this year. And even though I do expect Calvin Ridley to be technically the number 1 wide receiver here, Christian Kirk is going to be like the 1B, and he has a great role out of the slot, kind of in that Tyler Lockett role. You can get Christian Kirk at a big discount in relation to Calvin Ridley, and I think he'll have just as many boom weeks as Calvin Ridley does. So for me, Christian Kirk, another guy in this range, if he's on the board as my potential wide receiver 3 every single time, I'm hitting that draft button. I've been talking more and more about the Cardinals offense, about how we're going to see Kyler Murray earlier in the year. I know every analyst out there is saying, don't draft any Cardinals player, don't draft Marquise Brown, they're going to bust. I don't care. They're going to be wrong because Kyler Murray is going to be out there way sooner than people think. And Marquise Brown is going to have a great season this year because when you look last year at the beginning of the season, those first 6 weeks, he was getting a massive target share. He was the wide receiver 5, and nothing has really changed. DeAndre Hopkins is gone, just like he wasn't there last year. Kyler Murray will still be the quarterback. It might not be week 1, but it'll be week 4 at the very latest, and probably sooner than that. There's no other competition for targets here. I mean, I kind of like Rondale Moore, but he's just like a slot, low ADOT guy. They don't have any other receivers comparable to Marquise Brown now. They don't have a massive pass-catching tight end or a running back who's going to catch 80 to 100 passes. Hollywood Brown is going to get peppered with targets. The defense is going to be terrible. They're going to be in negative game script. And Kyler Murray probably isn't going to be able to run as much as he normally does, which means he's going to be throwing the ball 40-plus times a game. And a lot of those are going to go to Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown being drafted outside the top 30 wide receivers currently. This is crazy to me. When people start to see Kyler Murray, getting snaps, maybe getting reps in the preseason, in training camp, they're going to change their tune and they're going to say, oh, go start drafting Marquise Brown. No, it's too late by then because his ADP is going to shoot up. Draft him now when nobody's on him. This is the time. This is what wins leagues, is when you can get these guys before people realize it. That is Hollywood Brown right now, one of the most underpriced wide receivers in all of fantasy. And then I'm going to end with a rookie and not Jordan Addison. I still am very high on Jordan Addison. The speeding thing I think will be a non-issue. He'll be out there. He'll be fine. Not to mention we heard he had an emergency with his dog. Come on, you got to feel for the guy on that. If you're a dog lover, which you should be, you got to feel for that. But no, I'm talking about Zay Flowers, a guy that I don't understand why he hasn't gotten more buzz. He's going so late in drafts. Typically this guy can go 8th, 9th, maybe even the 10th round of fantasy drafts. Why? We're going to start hearing more and more about Zay Flowers in camp here, and his ADP is going to go way up. This is one of the guys outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba that Matt Harmon of Reception Perception, who we trust, has said has the potential to be a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL level. And what are we hearing from Todd Monken, the new OC? He's talking about wanting to bring back Lamar Action Jackson, slinging it all over the field. 3 wide receivers, 4 wide receivers, opening this offense up, being a more pass-heavy offense like we've talked about all offseason. That's what is going to happen. And Zay Flowers has a chance to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. This is another guy you can line him up everywhere, all over the field, all different ways, on the line, off the line, run him in different routes, use him in all kinds of different ways. This is an absolute playmaker. I love this landing spot for him. I love the player. It's a perfect match. He's got a great quarterback. And nobody seems to realize it because he's just down there, buried in the ADP every single time. If you can get him late in your draft, do it. This is one of those guys who people don't think about before the season. And then by week 3 or 4, he's like carrying teams to win after win because you got him so late in your drafts. Grab Zay Flowers. I think the steam is coming. The hype is coming as he makes some plays in training camp and people start to talk about him. Zay Flowers is a great prospect. He's in a great situation. He is going to be awesome this year. Draft him wherever you can. Again, just like I have been. All right, those are 6 wide receivers I cannot stop drafting, but if you want to see my take on some polarizing wide receivers, do I draft them or not? Check out this video right here.